Once upon a time, there were 3 farmers. They each raised crops, but there started to be a bit of a drought. So each farmer decided to become an egg farmer. That meant they had to get chickens, the chickens would lay eggs, and they'd take the eggs to market. So each farmer built a beautiful chicken coop, like a luxury condo for those chickens. And they had healthy chickens. They had a smaller coop with little chickens in it that would grow up into healthy chickens. And for a good while, they were all very happy until the economy changed. Then everything changed. All of a sudden, everything was more expensive. The wood and the wire to repair the coops was more expensive. The food was more expensive. Everything was more expensive. And something else happened at the same time. All of a sudden, for no known reason, all the chickens across the country started laying half as many eggs as they used to. Nobody understood why. It was the craziest thing, and it worried the farmers a lot. So each one of them hired a coach. So Farmer A meets with this coach, and the coach says, "How's the egg farming business going?" And the farmer says, "Pretty good." And the coach said, "Pretty good?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm getting some eggs, but not as much as I need now that the chickens started laying half as many eggs." And so the coach said, "So what can you do?" And he said, "I don't know." Well, coach said, "There's lots of ways to get more eggs. What do you think you should do?" Farmer thought a little bit. The coach said, "Listen, look in the shift book, page 55 and 65, and it'll give you a lot of ways that you can actually get more eggs." So the farmer looked at it, came back to the coach, and he said, "I have an idea. I think I'm going to have some open cages. That way I'll do it on the weekend. The chickens will come in, just drop their egg right in the cage, and I'll get more eggs." And the coach said, "That's a great idea. Is there anything else you can do?" And the farmer said, "Well, I think I can put out some golden cages. And chickens will just come inside those golden cages, and I'll get them and be able to add them to my coop." And the coach says, "I've heard of that working too. Why don't you go do it and then come back and tell me how it goes?" So the farmer went and did his open cages and his golden cages, and he came back and he said, "Okay, I'm getting more eggs now. It's starting to work, but I'd like some more." So the coach says, "Okay, out of all the options out there, which one do you want to do?" And he said, "Well, there's this neighborhood of chickens over there, and I think if I go over there and I feed them and I'm friendly to them and I have parties for them, that I could actually farm that little neighborhood of chickens." And the coach said, "That's a great idea. Go do it." So the farmer started doing all those things in addition to his own chicken coop, and he had a very thriving business. He added some assistants. He added some extra farmers to help him. At one point, he actually stopped collecting those eggs at all. And then he went to his coach and said, "I'd really like some more business." And so the coach said, "Okay, what do you want to do next?" He said, "Well, there are those farmers in the outlying areas. I've developed lots of systems and lots of processes. I could go to those farmers and say, 'Hey, let's partner. You can use my processes.' And they would be like expansion farms out." And the coach said, "That's a great idea." So he went, he set up several expansion farms all the way around. He had a very healthy and thriving business, and he was making a huge profit. He was a huge businessman, and everything was going great. Now, Farmer B did a lot of the same things. He worked with the coach. He started doing open cages and golden cages, and he had some neighborhoods. He really didn't want to have all those expansions out there, but each year he would top grade his systems. He had some other businesses and investments. He worked with his coach all the time to grow. You know, in the chicken org chart, he was probably about a 4.2 in the organizational level, and he was very happy. Now, farmer number 3, Farmer B. Farmer C meets with his coach, and the coach says, "How is your chicken farm going?" And the farmer says, "Well, it's not going very good at all." And the coach said, "Okay." He said, how many eggs you getting?" And he said, "None." And the coach said, "None? Not any?" "None." Whew. He said, "Okay, let's get down to the fundamentals here. What are you feeding the chickens?" And the farmer told him, and he said, "Yeah, that's what everybody else feeds them." He said, "How often are you feeding them?" And the farmer said, I'm not feeding them. Coach holding back his inside voice and saying, you're not feeding them. And he reins it in and he says, you're not feeding them? And the farmer said, nope. I said, I'm not going in that cage. It smells bad. That chicken poop gets all over your shoes and there's a mean rooster. I am not going in that cage. And so the coach said, okay, I know you got some big goals here. What else do you think you can do? And he said, well, I've heard about those open cages where you kind of put them out on the weekend and the chickens just come and lay their eggs, all those wild chickens in the outlying areas. And he said, and you know what? I'm going to do golden cages too. I'm going to do golden cages every day. And the coach says, that's all really well and good, but you really should, think about taking care of your own chicken coop. And he said, oh, I've been doing lots of work there. And the coach said, good, what you been doing? He said, I've been tagging them, name them. I got spreadsheets about all those chickens and everything. I'm just not feeding them. He said, how are you even getting the eggs if you're not going in there? And he said, oh, I have a little trap door in the back where I reach in and get the eggs, but there are no eggs. The chickens aren't laying the eggs. And the coach is thinking inside himself, because you're not feeding the chickens. But he holds it in. And he says, okay, go ahead and go do those open cages. Go ahead and do those golden cages and then come back and tell me how it goes. So the farmer comes back and the coach says, how did it go? And the coach said, farmer said, well, I've got a few. And the coach said, like good coaches do, okay, show me. And the farmer said, okay, I got this bowl here. And the farmer said, okay, I see a few things in there. Looks like a couple of eggs in there. What's that black thing down there? And he said, it might be a rotten egg. I'm not real sure. I'm hoping it's going to be egg. It may be rotten. And the coach said, what's that funny thing down there? And the farmer says, a rock. And the coach said, what did you say? And he said, I said, it's a rock. Oh, okay. And you have 3 eggs. That's right, 3. He said, now, sir, when you go to the store and you open up a carton of eggs, if one of them's cracked, what do? Well, I'll put it back. I don't buy it. That's right. That means not all eggs sell. You have to have a whole bunch of them, right? 3, we kind of got to get more. I see 3 there. But what's that other thing there? What's that yellow thing? And he said, this? Coach said, yeah, what is that? He said, I don't really know, but I'm taking really good care of it. And I'm running around, I'm helping it, I'm taking care of it, and I even show it new little chicken condos. I don't know. And he said, well, have you ever held it to the pre-qualifying light to see if it is an actual egg? And he said, no. And he said, he said, well, why are you even working with it? Because I'm pretty sure that's not an egg. And he said, I can't let go of it. I can't let go of it because it's all I got because those chickens aren't laying eggs. And the coach is thinking, the chickens aren't laying eggs because you're not feeding the chickens. But he held it in. He said, okay, sir. Listen. To have a chicken farm and an egg farm, you have to feed the chickens. Being healthy is what helps them lay the eggs. Would you agree? And the farmer said yes. And he said, so what's the real reason you're not feeding the chickens? The farmer took a deep breath and he said, I know that when I go in that chicken coop to feed them, they know that I'm only doing it because I want their eggs. And they won't like me, and I will not do that to those chickens. I will not. Coach kind of scratched his head and he said, listen, I highly recommend that you go talk to farmer A and B because they have a totally different perspective. May I share with you what they think about that? Now, farmer said, okay, I'll listen. So he said, here's what they think. They think that their chickens actually like them to be fed and to feed them. And they also, those farmers think that the chickens don't mind them taking their eggs. That really, it is a boring thing to sit on the eggs to have them. The chickens don't really want to do it. And so the chickens are quite happy for them to take them. In fact, If anybody's going to take them, they want their farmer to take them because their farmer takes care of them. You know what else they say? They say that lots of times, many times, the chickens actually call them and say, hey, we got eggs here, come get them. That's what happens when you feed the chickens. Now, Mr. Farmer C, as a professional coach, I have to be honest, I'd be doing a disservice to you and probably against the Code of Ethics if I took you into my schedule when I knew I was not the best coach for you. I know you have really big dreams and I really believe in you getting them, but I am not the coach to get you there. But I would like to give you a parting gift. The farmer said, okay. He said, it's been a while since you've been to see your chicken coop, hasn't it? Yeah, because I've been out doing the open cages and the golden cages. He said, I know. I highly recommend that you go check on the chickens because I think you might be surprised at what you find. Sure enough, the farmer went and he found a couple things. First of all, there were way less chickens than he thought he had because the farmers in the area figured out that he wasn't feeding the chickens, so they started taking them when he wasn't looking. And when he looked down on the ground, all he found was some pretty sick and dead chickens, nicely tagged, nice little names, but nothing more. And so he went and got a job at Walmart. What kind of business do you want to have? And what are you willing to do to get it?